can you hear me if I don't use this? Hearing you.
Would you prefer? Oh,
Yes.
Paul Bear's got it. This is better. Well, good morning. Thank you so much for letting me come out and talk with you. I have put together a small slideshow, and as Dirk mentioned, I spent my career as a teacher, the last 25 years. Only the last 2 years have I been out of the classroom as an administrator. So, as any good teacher, I'd like to start with an activity and a little bit of a test for you. And so this is a group test, so don't panic. I'm going to show you some pictures. I would like you to talk amongst yourself about what you see. And so, have the lights been dimmed a little bit? Okay. About what you see on there. And these pictures all have a certain meaning to me from my past, something I remember doing. You can talk, it's open book testing. Okay, so let's go one by one. By the way, I have 3 sons. My youngest, I asked him what these pictures were, so I don't know. Well, why are you doing that? And anyway, I said, okay, it helped. It's the top corner. Check register. Remember having boxes of those? You know, I used to keep those boxes of, you gotta keep these for some reason. I don't know why we still have them 30, 40 years ago. Top right corner. Travel agent. Remember they'd have all the books on the wall and you had to pick out your destination and they had to give you the real ticket, the hard paper ticket. Bottom right corner.
Record store. 33 vinyls.
Yep, record store. Buying a record. The best part about buying a record was the package, right? You got to have the inside liner and all that good stuff. Bottom left, one of my favorites. Drive-in movie theater. Anyone know how many are left in the United States this time?
365.
Is that the number?
There was an article in a magazine just a few months ago.
Wow! Yeah, it's amazing, and up from its peak of thousands, you know. So it's a diminished or disappearing industry. Anyway, so real quick, a little bit of PowerPoint magic here. Maybe not.
There you go.
And again, I'd like you to talk a little bit about what just happened on the screen. Please talk.
Update to the future.
Yeah, there you go.
Update to the future. Which is now.
Kids don't know what this means. No. When you tell them, hurry up, it's time. You can do it for adults.
So we just switched from dumb telephone to smartphone. We're going to Is that right?
Okay, so what do you see there?
Yeah.
More money for Rotary for people who are not turning off their phones.
I asked my son what this page meant. He goes, oh, what do you want to know? I know everything on there.
That's right.
And he's like, I completely understand this page. And for the most part, you know, a lot of people, if you just flash this page first and say, what is this? They go, I don't know what that is. Well, it's the changing world. It's the world of things that we grew up with as things that have great fond memories of how things were done are done so very, very differently. I mean, on a fundamental scale, my son, I have 3 sons, my 25-year-old, he does all his banking on his phone. Every single day, he checks his balance. He goes, I have enough money for this. I mean, everything. I don't know, probably you're like me. I do all my travel arrangements online. You know, everything. I have a way to compare prices. I wait until it says it's the cheapest price this week. I mean, it's all self-serve. Music industry has been turned on its head, right, through the digital media. Through pieces here, the Napster, especially the ones that are not for pay. A complete revolution in an industry. And the bottom left, you know, for the most part, if you talk to young people about going to the movies, they go, I can't afford that, I'll just watch it on my iPad. Right? I'll go to Netflix and download my movie. So this is a prelude to what I'm here to talk to you about today. Hopefully everything will work here. And I have a web page that is the parallel of what we're going to talk about today. And I don't know why this web page put this pictures together, but it's every decade pictures from education in America. And so a 1910 sewing class. I'll let you just watch now, just click through. A class of women in libraries, 1920s. 1930s music class. What do you notice so far about the pictures? Black and white, yeah, not even color yet, but still.
Frontal learning.
Yeah, kids sitting in rows in classes, kind of a traditional model. 1940s teaching health and cleanliness class. That's a small class. 1950s reading class. Now, some of us may be thinking, okay, wait a second, you're starting to get to times when I can remember my classes, so here we go. 1960s, TVs enter the classroom. Revolutionized education. 1970s lesson review. All right, here I am. 1980s early computers. Anybody remember being in school when the first computer came in? You remember punch cards? Okay, if you want this to do anything, you gotta have to punch all these cards, and we spent hours punching the cards, and it would say hello. Not exaggerating, right? For a line of code was a bunch of these punch cards, but it was part of our 80s education in computers, 70s. Writing lessons. Start to see some of the handheld technology here on the desk, the calculator. 2000s, teaching kids how to use podcasts. Anyone know what a podcast is? Okay, good. Live video that you can use through the internet. And 2012, iPads in the classroom. So when Dirk asked if I would come out and talk to you today, I said, yeah, I'd love to talk to you about our school. And I don't know how many times you guys have done school visits. We've actually gone to schools and walked around as a Rotary Club, but hopefully not any. Because today I'd like you to take you to my school. And you don't have to go anywhere, because my school is 100% online. And it's called Washington Virtual Academy. And I will show you our website. So this is the front office of our school, and there's a lot of buildings behind the front office. So many that I can't really show you all because it would take a long, long time. Like any school, we have classrooms. We have classrooms where teachers teach live. We have textbooks. Of course, they're all online. They're digital textbooks where students can access 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Everything that you have in the school, other than football teams, we more or less have in our digital school. Okay, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the school today, give you some small facts, but leave you with, if you ever want to see more of the school, you can always go to Washington Virtual Academy and Google, and you can start going past the front office. But I'm not going to do that today, but I'll leave that up to you for homework. All right, so go back to my slideshow. Apologize. I lost it. We'll just click through here, I apologize. So a few quick facts about Washington Virtual Academy, also known as WAVA. That's why you saw the big wave at the start, the WAVA wave. This is only our 8th year of serving students in kindergarten through 12th grade. So we have every grade in the traditional public school model, from the smallest kids to your seniors in high school. WAVA operates as a public school. We are a public school of choice here in Washington. Although we just passed our charter legislation in Washington, which is traditionally your school of choice model across the country, We've been operating on a thing called alternative learning experience, which is a set of rules that districts have been able to use for programs that are free from seat time. You guys know what seat time is? In the state of Washington, in order to fund a student, they have to be sitting in a seat for a certain hours each week. And if they sit in a seat in a school by showing up, then you get paid for that child. That's called seat time requirement. So all of your traditional schools operate on seat time. If you're an alternative learning experience school, there's a whole host of other rules about how you can be funded for students, mostly based on what they do in terms of their work, in terms of their time online, their communications with teachers. So it's a different funding line. And it's a school of choice. So the 4,000 students that we have in our school are enrolled all over the state of Washington. Pretty much every place. For the majority of our kids, just like the majority of our population, are in the I-5 corridor. But we have kids in Spokane, Pullman, and Tri-Cities, and you name it, they're all over the state. Our school is fully accredited. So there's a accrediting body called Advanced Ed, which basically stamps your school as, this is a real school, it does real things, it has real transcripts, it can go to real colleges. So the school is fully accredited. And in Washington, if you're an online school, you also have to be licensed by the digital learning department, because I'm not the only school like this in Washington. I am the largest school. I am not a school. We are the largest school at 4,000 students. But I believe there's almost 10,000 students in different programs across the state involved in online learning. So I have another slide that I'll show you at the end. It's actually the digital learning department slide. So if you would like to see about all the programs in the state that are doing these kinds of things, and you visit the digital learning department, they have a whole list of schools that are online schools for students. So a little bit about the students. There it is. There's a picture of the digital learning department. So who does this? What kind of student goes to school online? Because I'm probably like most of you sitting there going, okay, that's kind of weird. That's not what I did. That's not how I went to school. Going to school for me has some of my best memories of that age, right? So if you're sitting at home, how do you have those same experiences? Well, I don't want every school in the world to be a digital school, but there are some students that need this option and that benefit tremendously from this option. So just looking at the list, top one, and this is in no particular order. These are not like from most to least, it's just mixed up. We have a lot of medically fragile students. They're students that they don't want to go to school because they get sick, or they have issues, they have migraines. And so the traditional bell schedule of 8 to 3 doesn't work for them. They're sick every morning. They wake up and they feel good in the afternoon, or they have moments where they can work around their disability. So they need a school with great flexibility. And online schools do that. Advanced learners. We have a lot of young people that want to work 2 and 3 and 4 grades ahead of where they're at, where their peers are at, right? And the traditional schools aren't as flexible again. Our school doesn't care. You get whatever you need. We can give you any level of content and teacher support for where you're at as a learner. And then the converse of that is students who start to fall behind where they need to be in school. Some of their families really want to try to fix that. They want to remediate that issue and be actively involved in how do we fix that. And so they come to the school. This is probably one of our biggest, fastest growing groups, the bullied students. Some students, the high school and middle school experience in particular is not a positive. And they view it as a deterrent to their academic growth. The social things that happen in school stop them from learning. And so they view this as a safe environment, and it's one that helps them move forward as learners. I kind of talked about that one a little bit. Families who really want to be involved with their children. In particular, I said we have kindergartners, right? Kindergarten, first, second graders. Some parents want so much to be integrally involved in that experience. And the other word for this is what, typically?
Helicopter.
Homeschoolers, right? Some people want to be involved. They don't want to job this responsibility out. So although our program is not a homeschool program, it is a public school program. We receive public state funds to do this. For our youngest students, we clearly rely on our parents to play an important thing. We call them learning coaches, right? We don't have little kindergartners sitting in front of a computer all day. They don't touch the computer. But we do provide boxes of supplies for traditional education of penmanship and counting bears and things that help them learn how you would in kindergarten class. And then the last group is a small group, but it's an interesting group. Professional skiers, professional dancers. It's amazing how many young people are doing things now in the competitive athletics, BMX racers, you know, all these really intense athletic things. You see them on TV and they're 16 and 15 years old, right? And they need a flexible school. They need a school that goes with them to compete in Southern California. And our school goes anywhere your laptop goes. So, part of what we do. Questions. I would love questions. As a teacher, I would love questions before I move on.
Can a student do both, traditional and this?
Yes, we have shared enrollments. So our high school program in particular, we have students. Anyone want to guess what the most popular high school part-time class is? Chemistry, good guess. Not yet, keep guessing. Most popular high school part-time class. For WAP at least.
Drama.
Chemistry. Come on, yes.
Drama.
Photography.
You got it. PE. Anyone know why? They don't want to dress out. You remember dress out? You guys, nobody remembers dressing out? Going to the locker room, taking your clothes off, putting on little funny PE uniforms and getting ready for PE? Kids don't want to do that. They don't want to dress out, so they create their own health fitness programs online, and they report it online. It's interesting, the things that you don't think about from our youth, they do. Yes?
We didn't call it that.
Questions?
So I understand creating your own program, but how would you, my question originally was art, music, and physical education. You can't do any of those online. I suppose you could do graphic design online, but what do those classes look like?
You're good. What do the classes look like? Well, this is exactly what the classrooms look like. So I have some recordings of what our classrooms look like. So in the online setting, there's two basic modalities. There's synchronous instruction, which is I'm with a teacher right now. The teacher's able to answer my questions, talk with me, ask me questions, provide me instruction. Then there's asynchronous instruction. Asynchronous instruction is, here's the textbook, now go do something with it. Now understand, when I say textbook, our lessons are not textbooks. They're interactive digital content. Move this picture over here, what is that there? Very much a experience on a computer, but it's still digital content. You can do it whenever. Okay, but so for WABA, we have from 8 in the morning till 6 at night, options for students to attend class live with teachers. And I was going to show you just a small clip of how it looks. Before I do that, though, I'll just kind of point out to you, the names have been changed. The teacher would actually see all the names in that list. So the names of the student. Students have all the same participation rights as in a regular class. They can raise their hand. You see a little hand goes up next to their name. They can grab the microphone and the webcam in the top left corner and show their face and talk to the teacher or the class. They can type in this box here, this chat box, and have an ongoing dialogue like an annoying student in a class would while you're teaching. And they can do smiley faces and all those things. There's polling. So as any good teacher, when you're teaching, you ask for that check for understanding. So as you have your lessons, you'll ask, okay, is it A, B, C, or D? And every kid has to respond. So there's digital polling. So I'll just show you a real quick kind of clip of this, and hopefully the technology will work. And this is a technology class on web design, a piece of work.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you, yeah.
Okay, that was kind of embarrassing.
Not really. Not really. I'm glad you tried it. For some reason, we could see a little picture of it, but we couldn't hear you.
Kids are hesitant to use the webcam.
Let's use the webcam.
Oh, okay, cool. Alright, basically, what I said was first time using webcam. That obviously was a great success. Anything I work learned in this course was pretty much new to me. I was not aware of ACSS coding. I was only briefly introduced to HTML coding, so everything was kind of new. And I had no idea how to go about making a website at all. So it was very educational. I like this course. It's really good.
So that small piece, I know my time is running out, I want to make sure I answer your question. So things like PE, students journal, they journal their log activities. They're taught how to take care of their health metrics, right? Their pulse, their blood pressure, and they journal those things. They're asked to take pictures of their activities. So PE is one of the ones that I would say that the goal of PE is to develop lifelong learners, right? Lifelong people engaged in physical activities. And that's really the goal of our program is, okay, get started on your weight program, your jogging, your running, your swimming. Do something that you can begin, that works for you.
So with that screen, I mean, one of my fondest experiences anywhere along up even into college was meeting people and having social experiences. On that screen, can they see who their other classmates are? For instance, first and last name, and I mean, in elementary school or even junior high, passing notes was a thing, saying, teacher. So what I was thinking in my head was, if I could see the person's name, I'd be able to Google them, maybe find their Facebook, send them an instant message outside of class while I'm in class through Facebook.
You do well in our school, that's good. You know, so the more successful students figure out how to connect in the digital space, and they do seamlessly. What I love about our classrooms, and I took the screen down, is in the bottom corner you saw the chat, and the newer students will chat right in front of you. In the bottom corner, you'll see the little chat conversation going as a teacher, because you see all the messages that go through the system, and you can actually take the chat away from them. You can turn their chat off, and it's like, you'll see next thing you know, they'll be raising their hand. Why did you take my chat away? Pay attention. But yeah, so you know, as you compare this to our experience at school, our traditional face-to-face, there's so much disconnect. That's why I put the first screen up there, right? It's like, well, that's so different, you know. I will tell you, you know, candidly, as the head of a school of 4,000 students, this is not for every student in America. It's not even meant to be for every student in America. For some students, it's vitally important. It's the only way they can really access successfully their education. With that said, I think every student in America should have part of their educational day spent this way. Because you hear all the time about a student's going to need 8 career changes in their life. Have you heard that stat over the next 50 years? And we're talking career changes, not I need a new job. You need to be trained for a new career because your career went away. Okay, so where's all that training and education going to come from for that student? We're not going to open up schools again for 40-year-olds. So where's it going to come from? The digital space, right? You're going to have to become really adept lifelong learners. That's the big word for us, right? Lifelong learners. And so this space is going to be able to allow that to happen. You're going to get your licenses online. You're going to be trained online. You're going to interact with experts online. And so I would love to see great blended schools. That's my vision for American education, right? Come to school. When you come to school, don't worry about being bored. Because when you come, we're going to save all the great stuff. The labs, the music, the sports, the plays, the breaking stuff, the designing stuff, the arguing with each other, right? The active participation in school. And then all the individualized stuff that's a little boring. Read your books, answer your questions. Put it up here. right? So that would be what a great blended education would look like. Because to be honest, when you're sitting in that math class and they're teaching math at this level, you know, 30 of your kids are confused, a quarter of them are bored, a quarter of them are off task, you know, some of them are ready, right? So we need to have a more flexible way to personalize education so that every student is getting what they need next. And this has the opportunity to do that. Questions? Yes?
Can students get credit for online classes they take outside of that system? In other words, that you don't formally offer, but they say, oh, I see this class is offered through here.
Well, since we are an accredited school, the answer is no. So we have an approved, accredited catalog. So if I started giving credit for anything, the accrediting body would be very unhappy with me. Yes?
My question piggybacks that one with the accreditation component of it. It's very much tied to that accreditation piece. How do things like Khan Academy or access to free information or free degrees through like MIT that you would do online? At what point does something technology like this gravitate towards, hey, this information's out there, and then there's a testing that's national or something for that kind of accreditation?
Yeah, and I think you're starting to see a lot of this, right? Any child in America right now, if they had the desire, could go online and get the world's greatest education imaginable. Because the information that's there could fulfill 4 lifetimes of learning, right? It's the measuring and certifying of that learning that is getting hard, right? Because, I mean, think about it. There could be a child who could go to the Museum of History website and spend a year there, right? And learning and reading and researching and going to the museums in Paris and making comparisons. And how would you ever quantify that, right? So our goal now as educators is not so much to define exactly what you need to know, but to figure out how to certify that certain things are happening. And then hopefully engage them in a way that they want to go find the rest, right? That they have that passion for being a learner, that understanding that the device they hold in their pocket is more powerful than in the navigation device that took the men to the moon. Sorry, I stuttered on that one. I'll say it again. The navigation device on Apollo 13 that took astronauts to the moon was significantly less powerful than this. So it wasn't even, it was apples and giraffes. Okay, we sit in our pocket supercomputers connected to computers all over the world. And what do kids do with them?
Talk to one another.
They take pictures of themselves jumping off curbs in their cave. I mean, if you think about how we have the most powerful technology man has ever known at our fingertips, and for the most part, Twitter, it's like the dumbing down of America. You only have 140 characters, talk in less than 140 characters, that's all that counts.
And you don't have to spell.
And don't spell, nobody cares. So we have to do a better job of living in this space to expose the potential of the space for kids learning and growth as a person, right? And that's what these schools are trying to do, that we're trying to do. Again, you know, it's an option. For some of you, you may know families or friends that are, anyone that's having their children online? Dirk, raise your hand. Dirk's wife, Jen, is a master teacher at Washington Virtual Academy, and that's the connection. So she's been doing this a while, and she can speak as a teacher role if you ever want to know. Have Jen come out and talk to you about what a teacher's day in the life of looks like. She can speak to that pretty well. So other questions? Am I done?
One more question.
We're almost, yeah.
I'm sorry. Yes.
Much of my work is that I work in the IT industry, so my day is spent presenting WebExes or listening to WebExes or teaching people. I found when I was a project manager, they get people to work cooperatively. Usually what they have to do is meet with them in person a few times, just so that they make a connection, and then you can start transitioning to the more online thing. Some people need that. I don't think that upgrade is necessary. Do you find that the kids need the in-person introduction in the beginning in order for them to engage fully, or can you just get in there and start doing tasks?
The question was about collaboration and how for most of us adults, if we do a face-to-face meeting, we need that for that initial spark of then working together online. Kids are a little less so that way. They do have online friends that they've never met and that they have significant relationships with. This is that part that I don't really get, I'll be honest. But watch kids. You know, how many of you have seen children out in the movies or in the mall, and they're talking to this person more than they're talking to the person next to them? How bad does that freak you out? That freaks me out more than almost anything I experience on a day-to-day basis. Like, talk to the person next to you. And yet, this is their world. This space is how they see it. So for kids, less so, but still a challenge. I'm not diminishing that. Collaboration in the digital space, it's hard like it is in the regular classroom.
What I'm wondering is, say for example, you have a top athletic person, either going to Stadium or Lincoln, and he's having a problem of keeping his grades up to be able to participate. Would the school allow that person then to come to you and get help to get his grades back up?
Yes.
The school wouldn't object to that. If Stadium or Lincoln wouldn't object to that?
Well, the more political, bad adult answer is when you share a student, you share their funding. And so unfortunately, there are districts in this state that don't like to share. So when the parent goes, would you allow me to take 2 classes online? Some districts will say, no, you can't, because we don't want to share your funding, even though they'll share the responsibility of educating them. That's an adult problem, not a kid problem, but it is one. It's a reality of how we're operating. Guys, thank you so much for the opportunity.